Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just for the interest of time, we'll get started. We do have a work session of the Board of Trustees here. It is now 6:15, and we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. A roll call and recording board members present, if we can have that started so we can account for all those that are here. So we do have our clickers here. They should be working. And again, welcome, everyone. All right, Ms. Ortiz. All right, we can go to and close the vote. All right, I do declare we have a quorum present. Everyone is here. I know Ms. Cavazos shared she is running a little late due to some items at work, but if she is able to make it, she'll keep us posted. If not, she may not be able to join us and sends her apologies for that. So moving on to item C, recording the superintendent and staff member. Oh, and I will mention Dr. Casper is here with us as well. So welcome him. Excuse me. Item C, recording the superintendent and staff members present. Mr. Soto.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, HISD Community. This evening, we have our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, Mr. Hernandez.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Operations, Dr. Hinojosa.
Here.
We have our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Casey.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Human Resources, Dr. Salinas.
Here.
All right, thank you, sir. And we're going to go ahead and move on to item 2. Ms. Juarez, there is no public comment, correct? All right, thank you so much, ma'am. So we are going to go ahead and enter into a work session with the superintendent and staff. Item 3. Item 4, which is the board focus on student outcomes 29.5% of the time in the November work session and regular board meeting. Was there anything specifically we had to share, Dr. Castleberry, other than that piece? No? Okay, thank you. Obviously, guys, we're working towards a goal and hopefully we can get to that 35% crescendo. Moving on to item, or did anyone have anything to share on that? Comments, clarifications, or concerns to share? No, on item 4. Okay, we'll continue working on that. Item 5, which is the board will review and discuss the 2023-2024 campus improvement plans. Mr. Soto.
Yes, the next 2 items are going to be Ms. Casey's team, which is the Campus Improvement Plan and District Improvement Plan.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Soto, every year, each campus is required to conduct a needs assessment and develop a campus improvement plan. We have had every campus develop that plan. We do have one campus, McCollum High School, that is still in the process, so their information is not here. They consider their student data. They have input from stakeholders, their committee, and then they develop goals and strategies to meet those goals for the year. All campus also utilize Plan for Learning. This is where we house all of the complete campus improvement plans and then monitor and document the progress throughout the year. I do not have the completed CIPs in this packet. However, I will send those to Ms. Juarez to send to you. Each of them range from 50 to all the way to 100 pages. But what you do have is you have an executive summary that every principal completes. And what they have done is they basically highlight their campus improvement plan, their goals, their areas of focus, what the committee has determined to be their needs. This were sent in the original packet. As you can see, some of them focus on the student attendance, student growth, student achievement. Many of them use the strategies of PLCs, social emotional learning, data-driven instruction, and then some of them focus particularly on subgroups or all students, depending on what their data says. And finally, culture is another one. I don't know if you want to if you have any questions from your review regarding these executive summaries.
All right, anyone on the team have any comments, concerns, or clarification needed? I know, Ms. Casey, we appreciate that because I know in years past, it's been the whole CIP, which is a very arduous read, so to say the least. So I think it's always beneficial for us just to have the snapshot of it because it gives us the overall what is it necessary for us to be aware of.
Thank
so
you.
thank you.
And I will be emailing the complete CIPs to Ms. Juarez to send to you as well.
Yes, and so if you guys have, you can definitely peruse through it. It's always an interesting read for sure. And so if anybody has any comments, concerns, or clarification, needed, please share. No, okay. Well, then moving on to the next item is also yours, Ms. Casey?
Yes, the next item is our district improvement plan. And the requirement is that the board approve the goals in the plan. We have for several years focused on ways to improve all of our district needs, particularly our subgroups and the culture of our campus. When you look at the goals, we have on the goal 1, 2, 3, and 4 are actually our strategic planning goals. These are goals that have not yet been presented to the board. These will actually be presented to the board in January. However, they are part of our district improvement plan. The first goal is our finance strand, and it is by 2028, 100% of Harlandale ISD budget will be balanced while supporting academic excellence and expanding resources for students and staff. Goal 2 is the curriculum strand. By 2028, 100% of Harlandale ISD students will have measured progress in all content areas. Goal 3 is our human capital strand. By 2028, 100% of Harlandale ISD staff will be highly effective, well-supported, and committed to the Harlandale ISD mission, vision, students, and community. And goal 4 is our positive culture strand. By 2028, 100% of Harlandale ISD students will be treated with empathy and be emotionally supported. Following those goals, we have goal 5 all the way through goal 17, which have already been board approved. These are actually the goals that were approved, I believe, I don't remember the month, but these have actually come to the board and been approved. It changed how we were reporting out. So goals 5 through 17 have previously been approved, and they are incorporated as well in our district improvement plan. Additional goals which have not been approved include goal 18 that we'll partner with Ed Direction as part of Resilient School Support Program, which is a program that we have. This is our final year. It is part of our grant from T-Class, and this is our final year of the grant implementation. And also by the end of 2024, the percentage of growth in special populations of this district will be 1% greater than percentage of growth in regular populations. That would include our bilingual students, our special ed students, our homeless students, or students that qualify in any other area like at risk or economically disadvantaged. Some other areas of focus include we continue to focus on school safety, on increasing enrollment and attendance rates for the district, social emotional supports for our students, our staff, and their families, recruiting and retaining highly qualified teachers, and then decreasing behavior concerns that could be impacting our student achievement.
All right. Any comments, concerns, or clarifications needed on these items? Ms. Ortiz?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I just have a quick question. At the beginning of the year, we had put out incentives for the schools to raise our ADA. And since we're halfway through, do we have any kind of, Mr. Soto, are we looking at doing something like any evaluation, like right after the break or before the break? Are we making any progress in raising that goal?
Great question, Ms. Ortiz. We just discussed this in our agenda setting, and we will be presenting it Monday evening at our board meeting. Yes, we're on the same page, ma'am. So we're gonna present our data that was last year, where we're at now, and what was the goal.
Okay.
Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed? And kudos to the team for the Mr. Soto and his team, because they're all embedded, and we are going to be actively viewing these goals throughout the next coming months. So it's something that is going to benefit us in reaching our goals as well. So it's also keeping an overview on how things are going and keeping a pulse of what's happening in our campuses and also in our community. So thank you, guys. If there's nothing further, we can move on to the next item. Okay. So moving on to item 7, sir, the board will review and discuss the investment report for quarter ending September 30, 2023. Mr. Soto?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, the next two items will be Mr. Hernandez presenting.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on your board book on page 32, you have a summary of the investment report for the quarter ending September 30th. In many of our funds, or practically all our funds, there's been a decrease. But it's been offset by the interest earnings that we've had. The rates are good, have improved, and that helps offset some of our costs. So for the general fund, there's a net decrease of about 3.3 million. The contributing factors to that is, according to the state's payment schedule, they skip the month of August, but then do a settle up of our ADA earnings as of June 30th, 2023. The other cost that occurred in that quarter is in the beginning of August and September, we started implementing the new pay scales that were approved by the board. The debt service had a decrease of 9.3 million. August is the month where we make all our bond and interest and principal payments. We had $10.7 million paid out in those semi-annual payments. That is offset by the interest again that we earn in that fund. The settlement fund had a net decrease of 973,000, but again, offset by interest earnings because the actual cost for architect and engineering services related to the stadium was $1,031,000. The facility assessment fund, which is another way of saying our maintenance tax notes, had a net decrease of 1.3 million. That is used for construction payments related to the improvements at the stadium as they affect the American disability requirements that are being met. Also included in that are soft costs of 67,000 and HVAC repairs expenses of 202,000. Our general facilities fund, and I need to make a correction on the transmittal, but there is a net decrease of $1 million. But in that general facilities fund, we've had architect services and soft costs of 348,000 as preparation for the work that's going to be done at the CTE buildings, the RTC building, and the community needs. But along with the general facilities, what was approved as part of Bond 22 was the technology infrastructure, which we are moving along on, which we have expended 905,000, and then also incurring what we call capitalizable costs when we pursued doing the make ready of the repurposed buildings. And again, all this is offset with the interest earnings of the general facilities fund. The stadium fund had a net decrease of 1.8 million. As we near the end of completing that part of the stadium, we had construction costs of 2.8 million. But again, interest earnings help offset some of that cost. So we only had a net decrease of 1.7. The health insurance had a decrease of 323,000 as we start getting into the year of our health insurance program, which benefits our employees. So in sum, our pool account, we have our monies invested in pool accounts that represent basically 31% of our holdings, commercial paper at 57%, agency securities at 3%, municipal bonds at 3%. What's favorable in of the report is we're actually having interest earnings at rates of 1.3 up to 5.6%. So it's a big turnaround of what was out there in the market less than a year ago. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes the report.
All right. Any comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this piece with Mr. Hernandez? No? Okay. So we'll move on to the next item. It's also, I would assume, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got the next.
is it the next couple?
Next three, yes. Sir.
Okay, go ahead. Sir.
The next one is the budget report, and as we start each year, this is for the quarter ending September 30th. So basically from July through September. So the district is basically getting started with operations. What we can recap is that budgeted revenues are 126.8 million. And at the time of the budget, it was at 136 million, producing a deficit of 9.8. But what's not included in this is the expectation at the end of 23-24, those payroll costs that are funded out of ESSER 3 that are basically were in the general fund under state comp will be going back over to the general fund. So that will contribute to what we've been projecting as a deficit in the coming years. As we just talked about, our ADA is critical to the revenues that are generated for this district in order to support its expenses. At this time, compared to last year, we are down by 349 students. Our budget was based on an ADA of 10,200, but we'll continue to monitor that and also get an update of where we're standing as far as trying to improve our attendance of our students. The next two funds that are covered are the general child nutrition program and our debt service. Our child nutrition program, after consolidating in the repurposed campus, our meals claimed have decreased by approximately 1,177. But the decrease in that revenue is offset by the supper meals program that has increased by 11,764 meals as compared to last year due to the expansion from 4 schools to 6 schools starting the year. Our debt service, as I had mentioned on the investments, was that the budget amount, and it had the expense of 10.7 million. And again, that amount is offset by the amount of taxes and interest earnings that we have for contributing to the debt service fund in order to meet our bond payment obligations. So, Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report.
All right. Any comments, concerns, or clarification on this item? All right. We may proceed, Mr. Hernandez, to the next one, please.
Yes, sir. The next item is relating to the budget amendments for the general fund and the what we call our donations sub-fund. The first budget amendment is basically transfers within a campus allotment, so there is no increase to the budget. What is Hardendale Middle School basically doing is moving monies in order to meet classroom instructional materials and fine arts travel for students, and also to provide staff development so that the teachers can better service the at-risk students. And again, this is within the campus's allotment. The next budget amendment is what we call a carryover of the commitments that we made in the last budget year. So those funds that were budgeted for those purchase orders that need to be fulfilled by vendors delivering either the goods or services, those budgeted funds basically roll over into this year, and we need to formally amend our budget to accommodate that rollover. So again, this doesn't affect whatever we had as our fund balance as available at the end of June 30th, 2023. And the amount of that rollover is $899,447. The next part of the budget amendments deals with what we call our donation sub-fund. Again, we have interest in support from community and organizations. So on your summary sheet, we provide the agencies or individuals that have contributed to various campuses or programs of the district. And so for Collier, we had a program, Texas Yes, that provided Spanish level materials, reading materials with a contribution of $2,489. A organization called Britannico also contributed to what our holding of the What's Next Symposium of 1,000. RBFCU provided monetary donations to provide poor supplies for parent advisory meetings. And RBC Capital Markets provided a donation of $1,000 to go towards what we can use for student incentives, and again, to try to improve our ADA. So basically, these are the budget amendments that are being presented for the month of December.
All right, guys, any comments, concerns, or clarification on this item needed? No? Okay. Well, thank you, sir, for sharing that information, and we'll move on. Number 10 is not yours as well?
Yes,
is it?
sir.
Okay. So the board will review and discuss the request to amend the final renewal option for RFP number 2037 for the expanded provision of extended day program services to Boys and Girls Club of San Antonio for an estimated cost of $28,668. The amended cost is to be fully to be funded by donated funds from the Methodist Healthcare Ministries of South Texas, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, sir. Thank you. In this transmittal and what's being presented this evening, as the agenda stated, it was the expansion of the extended day programs. Currently, it's provided by the Boys and Girls Club of San Antonio. It's being provided at 11 campuses. We are looking to utilizing the recent donation from the Methodist Health Ministries to expand their services to Hardendale Middle School and Kingsborough Middle School. Currently, those two schools are partnering with our existing other two middle schools. But by separating them, they can get more of a benefit from these services of the Boys and Girls Club in the extended day program services. So basically, the amount that is estimated cost for the 11 campuses was $243,000. By expanding these services, it would be an additional cost of $28,668. So it's still below what we initially brought to the board when it approved the RFP 20037 for these services to be provided by the Boys and Girls Club. We're in the second year of this program, and we renewed it for the 2023-24 year, and we'll be going into the last year for 24-25.
Okay. Any comments, concerns, or clarification needed with this item? Okay. So moving on then to the next piece, which is item 11, the board will review and discuss TASB policy update 122. Mr. Soto.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, at this time, Dr. Salinas will go over all these updates that we need to bring forward.
Thank you, President Moreno and members of the board. Today, we're going to be reviewing 10 local policies to consider for revision per TASB recommendation. All policy updates have been shared with Cabinet, and revisions have been reviewed by the supervisors who oversee each policy. On page 49 of your board book, we'll start with policy CQB that deals with technology resources and cybersecurity. Changes to this policy include adding security incidents. At the beginning, or at the previous one just had breaches, but now they've added security incident or just incident. You'll see that a couple of times there in the policy. And it's based on requirements imposed by Senate Bill 271. The next policy is CSA Local, which is Facility Standards, Safety, and Security. And this update addresses audits of building access control to comply with the commissioner's new school safety rules that went into effect in May 31st of 2023. As you're aware, the chief of police and our safety coordinator have already been conducting and continue to conduct safety audits to remain in compliance. We're just adding the policy now. The next policy is on page 51. It's DC Local, and it removes the term or designee since policy BJA Local already provides the superintendent this general authority. It also adds a note at the bottom that you'll notice in blue, the bottom of page 51 regarding the employment of a bus driver who is related to a board member or the superintendent referenced again in a different policy, DBE Legal. The next policy is DC Local. Oh, that is the one I just did. I'm sorry. The next policy is EHB Local. House Bill 3928. It's found on page 53. House Bill 3928 requires the board to adopt and implement a policy requiring the district to comply with all rules and standards adopted by the State Board of Education and guidance published by the commissioner to implement the program to test students for dyslexia and related disorders. So that's added to our policy on page 53 in blue. Page 54 is the next one, EHBC Local. And TASB is recommending to delete this policy and move it to EHBCA Local to align with the legal policy created that we did in July for update 121. EHBCA, noted on page 55, House Bill 1416 made several changes to the requirements for accelerated instruction. The first change is that a parent's ability to request a particular teacher after a student fails to perform satisfactorily on a state assessment is no longer limited to just grades 3, 5, and 8. References to the Accelerated Learning Committee has also been eliminated. Okay, next policy is on page 56. FEA Local. This deals with attendance and compulsory attendance. Senate Bill 68 allows a district to excuse a student for up to 2 days during the student's junior year and up to 2 days during the student's senior year to visit a workplace for the purpose of exploring the student's interest in a career. Next policy is on page 57. FEA Local. Senate Bill 68 allows a district, oh, I just did that one. I'm so sorry. FFAC Local is page 58. Senate Bill 629 requires a district to adopt a policy regarding maintenance, administration, and disposal of opioid antagonists, which are medications that block the effects of opioids. At each campus that serves students in grades 6 through 12, a note for the board is that our policy puts this in place at every campus. After speaking with Rose Malcolm and Chief of Police, we do have a nurse and a police officer that can administer these duties. Next one is FFB Local, found on page 60. In accordance with House Bill 3, this requires each campus to establish a clear procedure for students to report concerning behavior of another student. Revisions of the employee confidentiality are based on Senate Bill 1720, and it allows employees who report a potential threat to elect to keep their identities confidential. And you'll see those additions are in blue. And the last policy is FL Local. On page 62, House Bill 1416 repeals provisions related to accelerated learning committees. These references have been replaced with the references to the accelerated education plan that now must be created for certain students who fail to perform satisfactorily on state assessments.
All right, thank you, Dr. Salinas. Any questions, concerns, or comments on these items or clarification needed? No, Dr. Casper, did you have something to share?
Well, we just might mention that as we discussed sometime previously, we need a policy BE local to provide for the use of
Oh, the electronic
automated
stuff.
voting.
Yeah, I think Mr. Resendez had noted something, sir.
Yes, sir. We thank you for asking that because Ms. Waters and I went back and looked at the motion and it included approving of BE local. So we just need to, and we have it today. We got it and we'll give it to their, so they can send it to TASB to put it on the computer on the website. But it's been approved when they approved the board operating procedures, they approved the change to the policy. That was the motion. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're good. We just now need to practically
Get
do
it to
it.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have it and we're going to get it to her.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Good question.
All right, thank you for that clarification, ma'am. Moving on, if anyone else has any comments, concerns, or clarification needed? All right, so moving on to item 12, the board will review and discuss the request to approve the purchase of 30 ViewSonic interactive displays from Intech Southwest under Region 20 contract number 222. Funding is from the general fund for multiple campuses and department and budgets for technology support. The total cost of the district is $88,275. Ms. Martinez?
Yes, good evening, President Moreno, members of the board, Superintendent Soto. The ViewSonic interactive display encourages collaboration among students and teachers to share and engage in lessons that are productive in the learning environment. They are portable and can move to any location for professional development. They may also serve as digital signage for an event or provide information for a meeting with community visitors. They can remotely cast information from an iPad, a laptop, tablet, or even a smartphone. Included in this purchase is the ViewBoard software, which ensures that content remains private and secure, an extended service agreement and management subscription license for a total of 7 years, a ViewSonic player and a ViewSonic webcam, which allow for video calls using programs such as Zoom and Teams. These digital displays will be placed at various locations, including career and technology classrooms, fine arts classrooms, Kingsborough Middle School, and Frank Tejeda Academy classrooms, as well as the Human Resources Department. We currently have these at the dual Wetzel Museum, the Harlandale High School Theater Room, and the Special Ed and Child Nutrition departments. Staff recommends that the purchase of ViewSonic interactive displays for use by various schools and departments be made from Intech Southwest at a district cost of $88,275. Funding is from campus and department general fund budgets for technology support.
Any comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this item? All right, and we do have some of those at my campus, and so it is a very conducive to learning, to say the least. So the kids very much enjoy it, and our staff as well. So yes, Mr.
Yes,
Luna.
can you, I'm not familiar with this technology. Can you bring one next meeting to see we can see what it is? Can you have one? Is there?
They're pretty big. They run.
That's why I have no idea what this
Yeah.
is.
They're pretty big. We do have them at the museum, and then we have them at Harlandale High School, and we have them at Child Nutrition. I'm sure we can schedule a visit. They run, they're about 75 inches in diameter.
Yeah,
So they're actually pretty big. Sure,
yeah,
absolutely,
it's just an
absolutely,
image. I mean,
absolutely.
it's just, it's kind of an interactive board, kind of.
Was that the museum opening the
Yes.
other day?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember which room it was, but
I
there
can
was
show
so
you.
much going on that evening.
Yeah.
You have so much to offer here in Harlendale. People just don't know.
Well, thank you for that clarification, and we can definitely get that clarified. Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this piece? Okay, so moving on to item 13, the board will review. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. The board will review and discuss the agreement for civil engineering services for the Harlendale ISD multi-purpose gymnasium project to be performed by CDS Murray for the estimated cost of 99,000 to be funded from the bond 22 for general facilities. Mr. Soto, is that Dr. Reynoso?
Dr. Noto, yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chair and members of the board, thank you for that. So for this particular item, we'll be seeking approval for at Monday's board meeting would be to get approval with CDS Murray to proceed with the engineering services. That would be a part of the construction. As you remember back in July 17th, with the repurposing of Carol Bell to the CT building, that allowed us to save some of our money to be able to move forward with some other projects with bond 2022. And so with that savings or the repurposing, it allowed us to move towards this project, which is the multipurpose gym, and that was approved back in the summer. So for this particular item, CDS Murray would be as a part of RFPQ 200053 for engineering services. They'll provide for gradings, plans, drainage plans, and the construction, any permitting that would be required through the city, fire alarm plans, and basically it's all the engineering, the scope of the engineering that this scope of this building and the scope of work that it would entail.
Okay, any comments, concerns, or clarification needed from Dr. Reynoso? And just to kind of give a visual, Dr. Reynoso, can we remind the team where they would be located at again?
The multipurpose gym? Yes, sir. So that would be where the current Shea Center is. So it would be the current Shea building would be demolished. The current buildings that currently house a special education department, those two would remain along with the gymnasium. So those would stay intact. But the existing Shea Center building would be demolished. And so the actual multipurpose gym would go in that area along with the parking lot that would go for that facility. And then the plan, again, if you remember back to that project, it's two buildings with a shared foyer space with the multipurpose auditorium next to it. So the way the building would be constructed, it would leave space for that future project to be able to have that facility as well.
All right, any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed? Yes, Mr. Soto.
Mr. Chair, I was just wondering if we could look at something once the plan gets going, that's something around that's comparable to what we're trying to build here. Cause living here in the city for a while, you see various structures and what's available. So you get a better picture idea what they're gonna plan on building there. And so our community can also know what's going on.
Right. So it's currently in the design phase, but we can provide that either through HH or through a presentation. So nothing's been finalized yet. The location has been finalized, but the actual structure itself is just still in the design phase.
I think we could also somehow work a partnership with the city to also maybe do some additional parking or some renovations in that area as well, right? Because we're gonna be right next to city property, correct?
That's correct. The park, I believe Stinson Park is right next to it, right off of Roosevelt. So we can certainly have conversations with them. Yep.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed? Moving on to number 14, but prior to adjournment, I'd be remiss if Mr. Soto didn't remind me, but we did have one of our colleagues and a great principal at our campus, Miss Julie Gimble. Her father passed away, and if we can take a moment of silence for Mr. Santiago de Jesus in his memory, if you don't mind. Thank you, everyone, for joining us with that. We definitely send our thoughts and prayers to her family. And if we can we have a motion for adjournment, please?
Real quick, Mr. Moreno,
Yes, Mr. Resendez.
just for clarification, on item 11, just if everybody wants to know, I put a copy of the board operating procedures, and that policy that Dr. Casper referenced has already been revised, and it's going to be sent to the district to send to TASB. So it's on page 12, and it includes the language or electronic device. So it's in there. We just now need to process. And y'all did approve it with the previous action. When you approved the board operating procedures, you approved this policy change.
And keep in mind, guys, we do have a physical copy of the final piece. Peruse at your leisure, and you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please share with Mr. Soto, and then we can go from there.
Yep.
And then we can get that. So
Thank you, sir. Just want to clarify on that policy.
All right. Thank you, sir. And again, if someone would like to make a motion for adjournment,
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Carrillo, please.
I move to adjourn.
All right. Do we have a second?
Mr. Luna, second.
All right. We have a second by Mr. Luna. We can go ahead and call for the vote, sir. All right, we can go ahead and close the vote, please. All right, motion carries. It is now 6:52 and the meeting has been adjourned. Thank you, everyone.